Also on this afternoon's listing was Stefan Didak, Not Blowing Smoke, The Fight Against Misleading Messages. And he was one of the
Yes,
presentators.
he showed how he told us how this happened, how he invented, how he did Not Blowing Smoke, how he built
Oh,
it
how
up.
he created it?
And yes, it was he got he got wind from the California Department of Health
Yes.
of their campaign, Still Blowing Smoke, of their plans. It wasn't out yet, so
Oh,
he had a sneak preview on their homepage,
good for him.
and then he started to create his own page. He created the whole page, Not Blowing Smoke. He registered the domain and created the page in 36 hours.
Awesome.
And what took the California Department of Health $7 million to prepare was $12 for the domain registration and lots of work.
And just
And
lots of hard work and passion behind the work.
and his page went online within an hour from the California.
Good for him.
They were slightly upset about it.
Oh yes, they were very upset, especially since all that money didn't buy them the intelligence to get hold of Twitter accounts and other interesting media.
Oh, they didn't even
media.
know to use social media. They weren't wise enough
No.
with their millions of dollars to say we need to have a
Yes.
Twitter, we need to have a Facebook.
Yeah. So Stefan Didak also acquired the Twitter handle Still Blowing Smoke. Still Blowing Smoke is Not Blowing Smoke on Twitter. And lots of other sensible Twitter accounts and more Facebook and on websites. He all registered them
And all for $12
with
and a
it.
lot of hard work.
Yes,
And a lot of passion.
Yes, and this the media really got confused. Media and people and the ants were really confused.
Oh, I bet they were. They
Hard
should
chaos.
perhaps join Mrs. Chan for tea on the space station.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh dear.
Lansing
So,
did.
what messages did he bring to the table, though, Stefan?
Stefan.
Stefan.
I think the main message that he brought through describing what he did with Not Blowing Smoke was just how much we can achieve
Just from our own
through
passion.
dedication, through hard work, through the community itself, and even the most expensive, most sophisticated mechanism, which cost millions and millions of dollars,
Of tax
can
money
be
wasted.
we can beat them. That was the message that came through there.
Yeah. So again, stand up. Notice these
Stand
little
up,
imperfections that
yeah.
they don't have, and make your move.
Yes.
And when we meet tobacco control on equal ground,
Yes.
our argument holds sway every time. They don't have. I could, or any vapor, could go up against any tobacco control advocate or official, and we can drive them into the ground with our arguments. They wouldn't stand a chance. The only reason that they can put their arguments forward is they have the power of the media and they have billions and billions of dollars to put out all their false messages.
And the media is being paid for essentially by Big Pharma, who slices them a cut for advertisements, and they want that advertisement money for their media. There's
more to it than that.
Okay.
You'll find that the people who own media are also the people who are involved with pharma. They'll have shares, they'll have interests at that end of the scale.
And they still want to butter their bread.
Yeah.
To coin the phrase.
Yeah, and they look for the negative story.
Yeah. Because they want to keep their Big Pharma people on their side so that they can keep collecting the money from them.
Well, in a lot of ways, they'll tell their audience what that they think the audience want to hear. And the audience want to hear criticisms. They want to hear.
Yeah, but there's the National Enquirer magazine for that. If you want to hear propaganda, garbage, I'm trying to think of what would be the British equivalent. The Mirror. Would the Mirror be the British equivalent to that?
The Mirror, the Mail,
yeah.
Do you remember these papers are all run by and staffed by anti-tobacco zealots, people who have been conditioned. They're even conditioning themselves when they write a story against vaping or write a story about smokers and smoking. Every time
it's biased to begin with.
Themselves.
It's biased to begin with.
Yes.
Yeah. One-sided to begin with. Okay, so that's wonderful. That's a wonderful story of how, and that was his message, that although we are one, we have this tremendous community behind us, millions of people behind us.
Yeah. And there was somebody there to take on.
Yeah, there would be somebody there to help nurture it. Yeah.
But his conclusion was, one of us can do everything, but all of us can. Because,
do the impossible.
Well, he started it with a lot of work, but nobody can uphold this amount of work. But then the community kicked in and shared his page and referenced it, and well, it was on #1 on Google. If you googled "still blowing smoke," it was his page that Google found first.
Right.
Awesome.
It was shared the hell out of the world.
Awesome.
So, yes.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is in regards to Clive Bates and his presentation, What Makes a Good Regulation.
That's right. Clive Bates started off by pointing out that regulation is there to protect one person from harm from the actions of another.
Yes.
And if there is no harm from one person to another, or any harm to the individual, then there is no need for regulation. And he introduced that theme.
And he
then
also
went into
Go ahead.
He then went on and he explained some of the ways in which regulation for e-cigarettes are causing harm.
Okay.
Okay. And the harm is caused through unintended consequences. And this was his main theme, that regulators do not think carefully enough, especially with issues to do with tobacco. They don't think carefully enough about the unintended consequences.
Okay.
Now, I can't remember if he mentioned it at this meeting or not, but he has mentioned it in the past. An unintended consequence of prohibition is the black market.
Yes.
It's an unintended consequence.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying desperately here to think of what the actual examples of the unintended consequences of regulation of e-cigarettes actually is.
One of them is they keep people smoking, because regulating e-cigs to useless energies makes them useless, tasteless, unenjoyable. And what do people, if something is unenjoyable, they return to the something that's more enjoyable. That's than smoking.
Yeah, that's right. That was perhaps the main point that he made.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
he also had that, and I know I saw it on Twitter, about the regulations should be designed for the people who are the consumers of the product.
That's right.
And a lot of the regulations that are currently out right now are designed for those who are against vaping.
That's
And
right.
not for those who
right.
are actually doing the vaping.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are designed for the anti-vaping activists.
Yeah.
Designed for people, for non-smokers. You know, the very people who are not concerned really with vaping, or even really concerned with smoking for that matter. You know, it's the smokers and the vapors that these regulations are concerned with, and they're designed to keep people doing the most harmful activity, smoking.
They want you to just carry on smoking and carry on dying from smoking, and heaven forbid that you have found through consumer ingenuity and consumer inventiveness a product that is enjoyable, that keeps you away from combustible cigarettes, and is significantly less harmful
and so that
to the user and to the bystander.
Yeah, that unintended consequence is harming the very people they are purporting to help. They're not helping. They're doing the very, very opposite.
So these regulations... Sorry, go ahead.
He showed a sensible graphic with a curve where some regulation helps. Some regulation helps to ensure security, to make the product sensible and safe, and eliminate the oddballs that in their backyard have no clue what they are doing, and cobble together some shite. And when this regulation reaches the sweet spot, when it's just enough regulation, then it's perfect. But the regulation can continue. More regulation reduces the quality of the regulation, and
when
sometimes it passes the zero line, and then it gets negative and causes harm.
Because if they overregulate it, they drive people back to smoking. The smoking rates go up. And if e-cigarettes are endorsed and recognized as harm reducers, the rates of smoking will continue to go down, because this is significantly less harmful and significantly more enjoyable.
It's the same with taxation.
Yes.
One of the main advantages of vaping is that we don't have to suffer the same rates of taxation as smoking.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
tobacco control are advising governments and putting pressure on governments to increase
Yeah, and
taxation
in some
on e-cigarette
states,
revenue.
it's 93% tax they
Yeah.
have
They're driving
imposed.
people back to smoking. And
And
that ties in with another speaker who pointed out that government are dependent on tobacco taxes. They need them. And what happens with your tobacco taxes is a huge slice of that goes to the tobacco control organizations. So they need the taxes.
so that
So
they
they
can
are
get their
telling the
paycheck.
government, yeah, and never mind the smokers, never mind people dying. We want
Never
that money
mind
coming from us.
your father, your mother, your grandmother, perhaps even your adolescent child who took up smoking at a young age.
Yeah.
And they're being persuaded away from e-cigarettes. They're being told let this, that, and the other. They're being fed with the propaganda and the lies because the government wants that 16-year-old to keep right on smoking.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. It's bad to smoke, and it's just as bad to vape. So don't vape. Keep on smoking.
Keep
Hang
on
there's
smoking.
something wrong with that message.
Yes, there is something
There's
majorly
something
wrong with
very
that message.
wrong with
And they go
It's the same
on
as the-
that they're doing this and that for the children. And yet in the
Oh,
meantime,
yeah.
the children
And-
are still smoking.
It's the same with flavors. There was one slide which will come up again.
Yeah.
And it demonstrated what are the children going for when they do experiment.
So
with
when
the
you say
flavors.
children, you mean teens, teenagers,
Teens, even younger than teens, even
Okay.
pre-teens,
preteens.
you know, children. They go for tobacco flavour and they go for Scotch whisky flavour. And they're not in the slightest
so they
interest in
want
gummy
the
bears.
taboos. They want the tobacco flavors and they want the booze flavors.
That's right. They're
And
not interested in
ironically,
sweet.
if they
Plus,
looked
adults
up
don't like
what
that.
was the number one bad habit of teens, they would find it would be drinking.
Yeah.
And not
in
e-cigarettes.
general, in this survey, they asked, they didn't specifically, if I remember it correctly, they didn't specifically ask for vaping, but simply for which flavor would interest them.
Oh, okay.
The children and adults.
And adults.
Adults usually were more interested in flavors at all, generally. Flavors weren't interesting for children.
Right.
They weren't interested, except a bit for tobacco flavor and a bit for Scotch whiskey, Scotch single malt whiskey.
Single malt.
So that's what
Oh,
they
yeah.
were interested in.
That's what they were slightly more interested in.
Yeah.
Not significantly, but slightly more than the rest. And the rest was still irrelevant to the children.
Yeah, and it's ironic that 50-year-olds or 60-year-olds want a vape that tastes like strawberry or tastes like vanilla custard or blueberry pie.
That's not for children. Children want the hard stuff. They are on an adventure. What the hell does a child want to do? Tasting gummy bears or strawberry or any of these sweet, lovely flavors that we are told entice children. Children don't want that. They're on an adventure. They want foul-tasting tobacco.
They want the taboos that they're being told not to have.
They want to feel adult.
And the best way to get children to pick up vaping is to tell them it's bad for them.
That's right. Yeah.
Because children will do the direct, or especially teens, will do the direct opposite.
Yeah.
If you tell them something is taboo, they will do it.
Except vaping has a disadvantage to
Yes.
smoking in this respect. Smoking, you can filch a cigarette from somebody in your vicinity. When you smoke it and you get caught, well, you just dispose it fast and it's gone.
Yes.
But some vape equipment, well, it's a bit too expensive to just dispose when caught.
Yeah.
And children are pretty stupid, but not
Well,
that stupid.
they're not
They
that,
know.
that they're not that stupid. They know that they had to save their allowance for, quite a long time to be able to afford said device.
Yes.
But what people keep forgetting about is that these children or teens that try vaping or are vapors were smokers prior. And
Yes,
they
correct.
could easily, very easily obtain the cigarettes. And you have to think, cigarettes you cannot order online.
Yeah.
You have to go into a store to purchase them. They are finding ways to do that. And they are doing that because it is a taboo. I want the taboo. I want what I'm being told not to have.
Yes.
And if they start to demonize vaping to that level, they're attracting children to it.
That's right.
Yes,
And they know it.
but they still will go for the smoking because it's cheaper. It's equally taboo.
It's
It's
equally
just as taboo.
Yeah. Yeah, well, although I personally don't know what a packet of cigarettes costs anymore because I haven't had one in over 2 years. And I was a 30-plus year 2-package-a-day smoker.
Yeah, same here.
The interesting thing is that although hundreds of children, a large proportion of children, an increasing number, are experimenting with
But
vaping.
teens always experiment. That's part of life.
Probably what's happening because the researchers will say things like, how many have had one puff of an e-cigarette in the last month? And if they've had a puff on a cigarette, then according to the CDC, they're vapors. They are users. Okay? They don't even use the
Did
word
the
puff.
same survey ask them how many have tried a sip of alcohol? Which again is the
No.
number one
Yeah.
bad thing that teens do is drink.
But the difference is, that even if a child uses an e-cigarette for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, they will not become addicted to it.
No.
Because the addictive element is not there. The chemicals that make cigarettes addictive, the sugars, I think ammonia, I'm not sure about that one, but
Yes.
certainly the sugars that they add have the effect on nicotine of increasing the power and the hit of that nicotine immensely.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
only takes 1 or 2 cigarettes and they are hooked.
Yeah.
Now what's happening worldwide where there is e-cigarette availability is that lots of kids, according to statistics, and remember this is only one puff they're counting, is on the rise. Cigarette smoking is falling dramatically for the first time in a long time. What it means is that lots and lots of kids are experimenting with e-cigarettes and discovering it's not for me and not moving on to tobacco because they've done their experimentation.
And why would you give up something that's, like if they're going to give up something that's enjoyable, that has different flavors, that is significantly less harmful than cigarettes, and go and have cigarettes which only has one flavor?
Well, no, if they like the e-cigarette, they'll just stay with them.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
good. I mean, why move from something that tastes nice to something that is absolutely awful?
And to
Why go to
something
something
that
that's
is
safe,
not even
relatively safe?
fun.
That's right. It's no fun. It's dirty, and it's no fun.
It's dirty. It's filthy.
Train
Yeah,
you to think that. But it's still taboo. There's enough of an
and that's
element
not
of
to insult smokers, because I was once one,
oh no.
and I just switched habits. I changed to a habit that is significantly less harmful, that significantly reduces the harm to my body and to those around me and my bystanders. It allows me to have a product that I enjoy using, that I can have fun with using, and there's a huge difference between being courteous and being a right ass. You could take an environment where people are drinking, and because we have a German guest here, I'm going to use the German Oktoberfest as an example. You can have people enjoying Oktoberfest, drinking beers, and just singing and laughing and enjoying each other's company. And then you could have a group of individuals who are loud, obnoxious, pushing and beating on other people just for the sake of they just feel like doing that. And do you turn around and say no more Oktoberfest because of this? Because you had one bad egg and the rest were just singing and enjoying the festival and being courteous to those around them.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where a lot of the problems come from. You can have
Sally Davis.
Yeah. Okay.
Sally Davis, the government advisor in the UK, would put a stop to the Oktoberfest because the public health in the UK under Silly Sally, right, are now saying that the levels of alcohol, recommended levels, should be reduced, that even small amounts of alcohol is harmful. So this is the start. This is the start of the campaign against drinking. They have also started the campaign for people who are overweight. And it's not going to be that long before your normal social everyday drinker is stigmatized, is seen as a drunk, someone who can't really not fit to be looking after a family. It's all going to come. Somebody who's overweight. They shouldn't have a family. Why? Because you encourage your children in unhealthy lifestyles. This is just going to go
Yes,
on.
but being overweight is a genetic factor as well.
Well, that won't worry them.
No, but
Yes.
if you have large parents, your chances of being a large child are greatly influenced just through genetics alone.
But they can also create scientific evidence to say that that's not the case because they've done it with smoking and they're doing it with vaping.
Yeah. So, what is she, a
You'll say
Puritan? Is she a Puritan?
Pardon?
Is she a Puritan?
Pardon?
Pretty much, yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
She's a
I
Puritan.
would say.
But they did that in the States, with the liquor bootleg time and in the roaring was, I don't know, 40s, 30s, where they 20s when they outlawed alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes, history is repeating itself.
Yeah. And we just happen to be the latest targets. And next, like you say, they will be bullying on the social drinker who is having a glass of wine out with the girlfriends, or the guy who goes once a week to a pub to watch the football match or the hockey match, because this is Canada. Hockey's big in Canada. They're going to stigmatize people for enjoying certain aspects of life. What's next?
They're prohibiting pleasure.
What's next?
Yeah,
Sex.
they're prohibiting pleasure.
Are they going to
it's
prevent sex between a husband and a wife because it's enjoyable?
Well,
It's just going to go on. What I was going to say, Ivanna, I think that the wind-up of the GFN.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think the question was on everybody's lips, and that was, I wonder where we'll be next year at this time.
Ah, yes.
Where are we going to be next year at this time?
something important from Dave Dawn's presentation. We had another presentation.
Okay.
Is the pleasure principle.
Yes, okay. So how dare we have pleasure?
Yes, and especially he insisted that we stop talking about all the health and how much better it is and so on. No, let's talk about how much fun it is.
That's right.
How much more fun vaping is.
And it is too.
It is. The health issue, that's against cessation and stuff and quitting, and that's so negative. That's discouraging smokers from switching. Most smokers, even if they do the lip service and say, yes, I'm considering to quit someday in the future.
But you know, it goes back to the packages where they put all the warning labels on it. And what do? They just cover it up with a sticky note.
That's right.
Yes, and we should use the positive message. Vaping can be just much more fun.
It's just fun. It's just good, old, enjoyable fun.
When you get health benefits, They are a very nice side effect. That's how I point out my reason to switch. I switched not to quit. I switched by accident. When in Germany the witch hunt on vape shops started from some political lunatic, and this lunatic was supported by our St. Lance buddy, Martina Pötschke-Langer. She swamped the media with all her we don't know what's in it.
Oh, so she's much like the Ontario Premier.
She's more like Stan Glantz, and in Germany, every media and politician worships her as the expert on vaping and tobacco.
And she comes out with some nonsense.
And this nonsense was so absurd that I thought, what's that talking about? It was just too unbelievable, stupid, and on all the media was swamped by by her expertise, and I switched to vaping because I would not. Well, now this is a cessation. This is supposed to be a cessation gimmick, something to stop smoking, and they usually promote these stop smoking stuff like sour beer. Like they will, even if they know how worthless and useless that crap is, they know it doesn't work, and they still promote it. And now a cessation gimmick they don't promote, they warn. So it can't be a cessation gimmick. It must be something else. So I had to try it myself.
Okay, all right.
to find what it's all about, what this fuss was all about. And then I found, yes, it is more enjoyable. I wasn't really convinced even after I found some forums online when I researched it. But yes, that's why I switched. I switched not for health reasons. I didn't switch to quit anything. I like nicotine. I like the effects of nicotine. I still enjoy my 18 milligrams.
Okay. And how long have you been vaping?
It's 4.5 years now.
4.5 years, and you have stayed at the same nicotine level? Pretty much?
Yes. I should have started.
That's ironic because they often say that nicotine is addictive, and they very rarely point out that I personally started at 24 milligrams of nicotine 2 years ago. June 4th, 2014 is my anniversary, my vape anniversary, and I'm at 6 milligrams now. So if I was so addicted to nicotine, why would I not be at 40 milligrams?
Yeah.
Why did I come down?
And something else I noticed. When I also went to her private show, the Tobacco Control Conference. She is, by the way, she's the head of the WHO collaborators.
Okay.
That are lodged in the German Cancer Research Center, and they have an annual conference, Tobacco Control Conference, where they spout all the crap. All the crap is presented to some unsuspecting health professionals and everybody else who cares to visit.
Yeah.
So we've been there 3 times now at her show in the audience, and I noticed of course, vaping is impossible in there. I guess they would call the fire brigade if someone vaped in there. Yes, and I noticed I could stand 4 hours on a row, sitting there, not getting cravings, not getting nervous, only a little bit pissed off, but I think that wasn't the cravings, that was more the content of the delivered crap. Yes, and I went out after 4 hours of not vaping and talked a bit with other participants who needed real information. And only then I went out and relaxed with vaping. It's when I was a smoker, after 1 hour I would have crawled the walls.
Yes.
It would have been impossible more than an hour without smoking.
No. Yeah.
I'm the same as Norbert. I'm on 18 milligram. I started on 18 milligram and I've stayed on it. I think the reasons for staying on it are maybe a bit different in that I've stayed on it in the knowledge that nicotine isn't doing me any harm whatsoever.
And so there's even been studies that it helps with Parkinson's disease, mental alertness.
So you're going to go Delali before I do.
I will go Delali.
Delali? Oh, you don't know that one, do you?
No.
You're going to go silly in the head before I do.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go loopy. All right.
It helps cognitive.
Nutters. Okay. Yeah. But you know, that was just me. Like I started at the 24 milligrams, and then I started where I would get the headaches more often and the nausea feeling, and I knew that
it was too much.
It was too much nicotine for me personally, so I dropped down. And every time I got that sensation, I would drop down again. I knew how to self-regulate
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no reason for regulations on strength of nicotine. No reason at all.
But
we
the person using
self-administer,
it
you know.
receives the cues. If I feel nausea, if I have a headache, I am getting too much nicotine, I need to bring it down.
Yeah.
Or stop vaping for half an hour or whatever.
And the opposite is true. The opposite is true if you're not getting enough nicotine. So when they advocate for low nicotine cigarettes,
they want you to suck in and inhale more.
Yeah. So they smoke more cigarettes to compensate for it. So they're taking all the good stuff out. And left all the bad stuff in.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace.
It is
They
a
know
disgrace.
That.
Yeah, I know that is. Yeah.
The tax revenue.
And I know very often they've got the commercials on TV here in Canada. You know, and they tell a story of how someone took up smoking, and very often they were a young teenager who picked up the taboo, which the teenagers are addicted to, the taboos. And how there was no nicotine alternative medicines to kick the habit, you know, and yet they don't tell you with the Chamtex that, you know, 5,000 suicides were associated with taking use of it. There is a case, and I don't know how it went through or that, in the United States, where a soldier who was taking it murdered a bunch of people because the drug Chamtex just made him go insane.
Been a lot of suicides, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of suicides.
Sorry?
When do you return back to Britain?
Sorry? Right, I've got the whole day off tomorrow to relax. And you're going to interview me again, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, dear,
yeah.
Cruel. This is cruel. Okay.
Well, you might think of some more things tomorrow. And it was, you know, thank you so much, Norbert, for being part of this. Because it's fabulous, because you're giving, like, what happened in Germany, and it helps people in Ontario relate, because they're going through, you know, similar things, and they're going through similar things in other states or provinces, Newfoundland, and then you've got Quebec, where they're not even allowed to talk about the health benefits. They have to have on like an index size card, you know, small card like this size. That's all they're allowed to put what they've got for sale on. It has to fit all in Quebec. And right now they are currently going through Charter of Right challenge. That they are imposing on their right to have harm reduction access.
It's going to be brilliant. I think the Canadians stand a good chance of winning their legal challenge. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they've got a good chance of winning that.